Hello everyone, welcome to the channel where you find videos related to cloud and cybersecurity. And today we are here with a new topic called AWS Client VPN. In this video, we are going to cover each and every aspect of AWS Client VPN, that what it is, what is the use of this, and what problem it solves. And after covering these theory aspects, we will see the provisioning of this step by step, and at the end, we will successfully able to learn and connect with AWS Client VPN. Right, so let's start. So starting with a point called what is AWS Client VPN? So AWS Client VPN is a fully managed and scalable VPN service that basically enables the secure communication or connection between individual users and the resources in AWS VPC, which is Virtual Private Cloud, right? And also it provides secure and remote access to AWS and on-premises networks. It basically uses the OpenVPN protocol for secure and reliable connectivity. Okay, now talk about what are the problems solved by AWS Client VPN. See, first basically it eliminates the need for traditional, or I would say hardware based VPN solutions which are expensive and which take some, I would say, earlier expenses, and it is basically a hardware based VPN solutions. So for this we have a software VPN, which is AWS Client VPN. Second, it simplifies the secure access to AWS resources from anywhere. So for example, if you are working within a company who hosts their resources in a AWS cloud, and the resources or instances which are there in a cloud are not publicly exposed because of security risk, and you are not in a company's environment, then how you are going to use that resource, how you are going to access that resource? For that, Amazon introduced the AWS Client VPN. So the third point itself says that it reduces exposure and security risk of public network by centralizing access control. Okay, now it's time to talk about what are the primary use cases of AWS Client VPN. The first one I already told you, which is remote workforce access. So employees can securely access their internal applications hosted in AWS or on-premises network on any location. They can use or access that resources from anywhere by using or connecting with this AWS Client VPN. For example, they can use or access the VPC based application during cloud migration, and also enabling healthcare or financial teams to work with sensitive data remotely. The second point is hybrid cloud integration, which means it enables the capability of you to connect remote offices to AWS resources via VPN, bypassing the publicly internet risk. And it also used with the AWS site-to-site VPN or direct connect for end-to-end encrypted communication. Third point, it also provides secure internet access, because all the traffic, it basically route all client traffic through the VPN, which is full tunnel mode, to protect users on public Wi-Fi. Also, it applies security group rules. I'm sure that you guys already know about what is security group in AWS. So basically, it applies security group rules to filter traffic and prevent unauthorized access. The fourth point is cross VPC and multi-cloud access. So it enable you the capability of accessing to paired VPCs or third-party clouds by configuring routes and authorization rules. For example, allowing developers in one VPC to access tools in another VPC, right? And the last but not the least point, which is controlled user access. So basically, while we are creating the VPN endpoint, we are going to enabling the feature called mutual authentication, where it going to authenticate using the client certificate and the server certificate. So basically, the same thing it says, which says user certificate based authentication, mutual TLS, or integrate with AWS directory service for user group level permissions, and it restrict access to specific subnets or application using authorization rules. That's for sure. So now we have covered the theory part. Now let's move towards the practical. But before provisioning this AWS Client VPN, let me give you the high overview that what we are going to do. So the first step, first we are going to create VPC and then we are going to launch an EC2 instance. Once this part is done, then we are going to generate the certificate for authentication, for mutual authentication in this case. So for that we are going to use OpenVPN Easy RSA, which is freely available for generating certificates. Once we generated certificate successfully, then we are going to upload or import these certificates in the ACM, which is AWS Certificate Manager. Afterwards, we are going to create VPN endpoint, and we are going to associate target networks and authorization rules with that VPN endpoints. And once all these configurations are done, then I will show you to connect with the VPN endpoint, that how you can connect with AWS Client VPN by sitting anywhere in the world, and you can access the resources in your AWS environment which are made for private use purposes, right? Which are not exposed publicly. Okay, so this is my AWS console. Now first we are going to create our VPC. So in the search bar, I'm going to type VPC, or you can mark favorite and you can see it in the taskbar. So go to VPC, click on create VPC, choose VPC only and give the name of your VPC, which is virtual private client. For example, I am going to give the name which is called test VPC, right? Give the IPv4 CIDR block. Make sure this range, remember one thing, the IP value which you are going to give here is the same addresses which client will get when they are going to connect with the VPN endpoints. So in this case, I am going to give it, okay, I don't need any IPv6, leave tags as it is, just choose VPC only, give the name of test VPC, give the IP range and click on create VPC. Once the VPC is created, then we need one subnet. For subnet, click on subnet, click on create subnet. In the VPC ID, choose the VPC. In this case, this is test VPC. Give the name of your subnet. So I'm going to give the name of it, for example, test subnet 1. Choose the availability zone. Which availability zone do you want? So let's choose in this case Ohio US East 2A. This is the IP range which we have already given. Now we are going to assign IP range for our subnet, right? Once you assign it, click on create subnet. Once the subnet is successfully created, then we need to create EC2. Go to EC2, click on launch instance, give the name of your EC2. For example, I am giving client EC2. Choose the AMI, which is Amazon Machine Image in this case, because I am going to show you to connect with RDP by using the private IP address of this instance. So in this case, I am going with the Windows. Choosing Windows as the Amazon Machine Image. For example, let's go with the Windows Server 2022 base. In the instance type, if you are using learning for in your trial account, then I will suggest you to go with the free tier eligible. As for this trial, I am having a paid account, so I am going with a little high configuration of my machine. So I am going with T2 medium, which gives me 2 cores of CPU and 4 gigabytes of RAM. After choosing this, you need to choose your key pair if you already have, and if you don't have any key pair, you can just click on create a new key pair and you can create key pair from here. So I already have one key pair, which is this one, Ankit key pair. After choosing key pair, go to network settings, under edit, choose the VPC which you have created. In this case, it is test VPC. Choose your subnet. We only created one subnet, that's why it is already selected here. Make sure to disable the public IP, which is already disabled by default, because if you expose the public IP, then this instance will not be private anymore, right? So make sure to disable the public IP. This is the main, I would say, aim of our client learning AWS Client VPN, because we are going to RDP using the private instance in our local machine. So I am going to create a security group. In this case, I would say test VPN SG. In the security group, make sure to allow RDP and one more rule, ICMP. Okay, leave everything as it is and just click on launch instance. Okay, so instance has been launched. So till now, what we have configured, we have created VPC, we have launched an EC2. Inside VPC, we created one subnet, and in that subnet, we have launched an EC2, right? Now we are going to generate certificates, and those certificates we are going to upload in certificate manager. So if I go to certificate manager, we are going to upload those certificates here. So okay, in my case, two certificates are already imported here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete the certificates to import it again in front of you. Yeah, so certificate has been deleted. Now how to download the certificates? I am going to give you a link from where you will download the OpenVPN Easy RSA, right? This is a link. I will give that link in the description box. So in this link, you need to go to this one which says Easy RSA 3.1.7 win64.zip. Download this one. Once you download this zip file, go to the downloads, extract the download folder, open the folder, and you will see these number of files in this folder, which is Easy RSA 3.1.7. This is the place where we are going to generate our client and server certificates, which are basically going to use for mutual authentication, right? So now what you need to do, you need to go to the command prompt. So I am going to type cd here, cmd. So it will open the command prompt in the same address where I want to create client and server certificate. So this is my address which says C's user Sanket downloads Easy RSA, and here. Now to create certificates, first you need to initiate the batch file. So for this, you need to type Easy RSA start.bat. Don't worry about the commands. I will also paste those commands in the description box. But if you are typing the commands, make sure you are typing it correctly. So you need to type easy rsa start.bat to start the batch file. See, now it says, welcome to the easy rsa 3 cell for Windows. Invoke easy rsa to call the program without commands, help to display. Now here you need to initiate the pki file where we are going to create these certificates, right? So here you will say easy rsa init pki. Okay, so I have typed the space here, easy rsa init pki. Yeah, okay, so it has successfully, you can see it has successfully created the folder called pki here. Now the certificate which are going to create, which we are going to create, you will find inside this folder. Now we need to create two certificates. First one is server certificate and second one is client certificate, and one more thing which is certificate authority. So let's first create the certificate authority, which we say easy rsa build ca no pass, which means I am giving the command to create certificate authority with no password. So it is asking for the name. For example, I am giving the name as server. Yeah, it has successfully created this certificate authority. Now I am going to create server certificate. Now it is going to ask you the conformance. So it says type the word yes to continue or any other input or to abort. So let's type yes because we want server certificate. One server certificate has been created. Now it's time to create one more certificate, which is client certificate. Yes, again, and done. We have successfully created the certificates which we needed. So now if you go to the PTI folder, you will find one certificate here which is CA, which is certificate authority, who is responsible to issuing the certificate. And in the issued folder you are going to see two certificates, which is first one is client certificate and the server certificates. So we have certificates, we have certificate authorities. Now what about keys? The keys which we use for authentication, the keys are in the private folder. If you go to the private, you will find keys here, keys for certificate authority, key for server certificate, key for client certificate. Right, now we need to import these certificates in our certificate manager. So for that, what we need to do, go to certificates, you can click on import certificate, and from here you can import certificate, or if you want you can also request certificates from AWS. However, it is chargeable, so I request you to download the certificates from OpenVPN Easy RSA. So in this case we are going to import the certificate. Now in the certificate body we are going to enter the certificate, which is for example first certificate we are going to do it for server. So here we are going to put the server certificate, here we are going to put the private key of server certificate, and here in the certificate chain we are going to put the certificate authority. So how to do it? Go to the folder, go to the issued, open the server certificate with the notepad or any editor tool. Okay, so for example, this is how you will open the certificate. So this is server certificate. I am copying it and paste the entire certificate here. Now you need to paste the certificate key here. So go to the issued private folder and copy the server private key and paste it here. Now we have pasted the server certificate, the server certificate private key. Now here we need to paste the certificate authority. So for that you will find certificate authority here. So right click on it, open with, click on notepad, copy it and paste it here. Once you enter these all three details, click on import certificate and you will find your certificate successfully issued here. So now if you go to the list certificates, you can find your server certificate is here. In the same manner, we need to import one more certificate, which is client certificate for mutual authentication. So click on import again. In the issued folder, going for client certificate. Now copying the private key of client certificate. Now copying the certificate authority, which is ca.crt. Copy it and paste it here and click on import. And now you can see your both the certificates, client certificate and server certificates, are imported here. So now we have successfully imported certificate, we have created VPC, we have launched an EC2 instance. Now it's time to create an endpoint. For that, go to VPC. Inside VPC, you will find virtual private network. Inside virtual private network, you can find here client VPN endpoints, which is also called client to site VPN. Here you need to create client VPN. So click on create client VPN either here or you can click from here. Now here you can give the name of your VPN. For example, I am giving test client VPN. Description. Now here description is optional. If you want to give it, you can give it. Otherwise, leave it as empty. For example, this is our test client VPN. Now this is the range. Here you need to give the IP address from where the users will assign the IPs. So for example, someone will try to access any resources which is using the client VPN endpoint, then they will get the IP from this address. Now there is one limitation which says the CIDR block cannot be larger than 12 or smaller than 22, right? So in this case we are going with 172.16.0.0/16, right? After putting name, description and the IP address, now it's time. It says authentication information. In authentication information, you can see here are two options, which is first one is use mutual authentication and third one is use user based authentication. So in this demonstration we are going with the mutual authentication. For that you need to first choose the server certificate, choose the mutual authentication and then choose the client certificate. So in mutual authentication, we need to authenticate from both sides, server and client. Now here leave transfer protocol as UDP as it is. Now here in the VPC ID, choose the VPC which we have created. In this case is test VPC. After choosing the VPC, you need to choose the security group. So this is the security group which we have created, which says test VPN SG. After choosing the security group, it says the VPN port 443. If you want to enable self-service portal, you can enable it. However, it will be useful in the case where you will authentication type is user based. Right now we are using authentication as mutual, so that there is no chance of enabling the toggle. Right now here it says session timeout hours. In how many hours do you want to time out the VPN connection? So for example, 24, 12, 10, 8. For example, let me choose 8. Now here it says disconnect on session timeout. Do you want disconnection on session timeout? So yes. Now it says enable client login banner. What does it mean? Whenever you will be successfully able to connect with your client VPN endpoint, then you will get a message which you will type here. So for example, in this case, let me type welcome. You have successfully connected with the AWS Client VPN. See, now you need to click on create client VPN endpoint. So first let me give you another time that what we have typed till yet. First we give the name, then we define the range, IP address range, which is 172.16.0./16. We choose the server certificate, then we choose the mutual authentication, then we choose the client certificate. After that we have leave every default option as it is. Then in the transport protocol, I told you that leave it is as UDP. We choose the VPC ID. Then after that we have chosen the security group. We choose the session timeout. If you want to leave it as 24 hours, you can leave it, no issues. Then we enable the client login banner, and then we need to click on create client VPN endpoint. Okay, so it has been created. So you can now see the client VPN endpoint has been created for us, but in the state you can see it says pending associate. It will remain pending associate until you choose the target network association. So what you need to do, you need to click on test client VPN. Here you can find the target network association. But what are the target networks? Here You need to click on associate target network, select a VPC, which is in our case is test VPC. Then choose a subnet. This is the subnet where our resource, where our instance is launched, right? So remember, we have launched an EC2 instance within a subnet one. That's why this is our target network. So we have choose the subnet and we are click on associate target network. After association target network, we need to do one more thing. We need to create authorization rules. So click on authorization rules. Meanwhile, the target network association is still in associating state. It will take around 5 to 10 minutes to be configured. So meanwhile, just click on authorization rules. Click on create authorization rule. Here it says, first it's show you the detail of client VPN endpoint ID. Then it says choose the destination network to enable access. Do you want me to enable network access for which network? So here you need to type the CIDR value of your VPC which you have created. So for example, let me go to the VPC. Inside the VPC, you can see that this is our test VPC, right? And this is the IP range of our VPC, which says 192.168.0.0/24. Copy it and paste it here, right? After that, it says, do you want to grant access to all the users who try to connect with this network, or do you want to give access to a specific user group, right? So in this case, we are going with allow access to all the users. Description is optional, and now click on add authorization rules. Okay, so what we have done, we have created a VPN endpoint. It's still in pending associate. Meanwhile, it's in pending associate because we haven't configured the target network association. We have now successfully associated the target network, which is in associating state, and we have also created the authorization rules, which is in authorizing state, and the route table is also in the progress of creation after we have created the authorization rules. So I will be back once the state of VPN endpoint changing from pending associate to available. Okay, so I am back after waiting 9 minutes. It took 9 minutes to change the state from pending associate to available. Now you can see target network associated, authorization rules is active, and route table is created. Right? It also says the status is active. Now what you need to do, select your VPN endpoint and click on download client configuration. Once you download the client configuration file, go to the downloads folder. Here you will find, for example, here go to the downloads folder. Here you will find the client configuration file which we have downloaded. Right click on it, open with notepad. Now here you need to do some changes. What changes do you need to do? Go at the end of this key and add two tags. The first tag is cert tag and second tag is key tag. Okay, so what is this? Basically, this is the configuration file which we have downloaded, which has all the keys and prerequisites of our VPN endpoint. Now we are adding the client certificate and the client certificate key for mutual authentication. That's why we choose mutual authentication, right? So when we try to connect with VPN endpoint, we need to give this file to VPN, and VPN will authorize that whether the client and server certificates are matching or not, right? So for that, what we need to do, you need to create two tags, cert tag and key tag. Inside cert tag, you need to enter client certificate. So we are going to add client certificate here. Where is our client certificate? Inside the folder easy RSA, go to PKI, go to issued. Here you will find your client certificate. Open with notepad, copy it and paste it here. Same thing you need to do for client certificate key, right? Go back, go to private. Here you will find client certificate key. Open with Notepad, copy the key, paste inside the tags and save the file. Once you save the file, then we have successfully almost created all the aspects from the AWS side. Now what left, you just need to connect with the AWS VPN endpoint. For that you need to download the VPN client. So what you can type here, you can type AWS Client VPN download. This is the Amazon website, AWS website, where you can download the VPN for different operating systems, for Windows, for Mac, for Linux. So I am going to download for Windows. I will also provide the same link in the description box. Open the file, accept the terms, click install, select yes. And it successfully installed your VPN. Now to connect with the VPN, you need to open the AWS VPN client which you just installed now. You can search like this, AWS VPN client. Open this one. Here, this is the basically you can say UI of AWS VPN client. Here, you can just go to file. Basically, I already have installed AWS Client VPN. That's why you can see the older VPN connection which is disconnected. So in your case, what you need to do, you need to click on File, go to Manage Profiles. Inside Manage Profiles, see, let me first delete this profile. Okay, inside Manage Profiles, you will see a space empty here. You can just click on Add Profile. In the Add Profile, you first need to give the name. So for example, I will say Test VPN. In the VPN configuration file, you need to give the path of the file where your configuration file is stored, which you have downloaded, and then you have added the client certificate and client key inside it. Go to downloads, choose the same file, open. It will take the path of that file. Click on add profile. Done. Your profile will be seen here. You just need to, what you need to do, you just need to click on connect. Once you click on connect, you can click on connection, show details. You can find details here. Connection details you can find here. See, here it says, welcome, you have successfully connected with the AWS Client VPN. This message comes where we have enabled the banner. We have put the same message, and right now it says, welcome, you have successfully connected with the AWS Client VPN. Right. So now we have successfully connected with the Client VPN from this side. Now let me show you with this. Go to EC2. What we are going to do, we are going to basically try to connect with our EC2 using RDP, right? So we are taking RDP using a private IP of our EC2. Okay, so once the status shows as connected, then what you need to do, go to your EC2, take the private IP of your machine. In this case, this is the private IP which is 192.168.1.12. Copy it and try to take the RDP of this machine. So if I paste the private IP in my RDP and hit connect, see, basically I am able to connect it, right? So let's try to connect in our EC2 by using the RDP. So for that we need credentials, hit connect, go to RDP client, download the RDP file as well as get the password. To get the password, you need to upload the private key. So this is the private key. Decrypt the password, copying password, open the RDP, connect, paste the password, and see. Now I am successfully able to connect to my EC2, right, from my local machine by using Client VPN. So we have connected Client VPN successfully, which you have already seen here. and now you can see the machine is successfully connected using the RDP. Now you can also do one more thing. You can also ping your EC2, right? For that, what you need to do, go to command prompt. Let's try to ping our EC2. For that, go to your instances, take the public private IP, go to command prompt. See, it is not connecting right now. Why? However, we can see that our client VPN endpoint is successfully connected. We have successfully downloaded the app, and our app is working fine, which also shows us welcome that you are connected. Even though we are getting request timeout, that is because of your machine's firewall is denying this traffic, denying this ping request. So for that, you have already taken the RDP, go to your machine, search for Windows firewall, click on allow an app or feature through Windows Defender firewall, and try to allow file and printer sharing for both public and private. Once this is done, then you need to also give access to Windows Management Instrumentation, which is WMI, from here. Once done, save it, and now try to ping your IP, or I would say your EC2, using your local machine, and you will surely get response. See, so by using both the methods, by using ping from command prompts, by using access, by taking access from RDP using the private IP, we have successfully seen that how AWS Client VPN endpoint works. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session, and we will see you in the next video.